Hi, Michael Yardney, and welcome to our weekly Rich Habit, Poor Habits webcast with Tom Corley in the United States. Welcome once again, Tom.
Hi, Michael. It's good to be back.
Fantastic. Tom, we've actually spent the last 2 weeks going through some of the findings of your Rich Habits, Poor Habits study, where we worked out that the wealthy people, the rich people, the successful people do things in a different way. They think in a different way. And right at the beginning, we spoke about the concept that close to 40% of your day is habits. You're doing things at a subconscious level, and you are today the result of all the things you've chosen to do and the things you haven't chosen to do. Tom, I guess you really are the result of all your habits.
No question about it, Michael. Your habits are a reflection of the life that you have. They're a mirror. So if you have good habits, you're going to have a good life. You have bad habits, you're going to have a bad life. It's really pretty much that simple.
Of course, we've all got rich habits and we've all got poor habits as well. We've got empowering beliefs and disempowering beliefs that are driving us. So the first way of moving forward is recognizing these, and the next step then is removing the disempowering habits, the poor habits, and replacing them with rich habits. And that's why we're going through this list. Now, if you haven't listened to watch the last two sessions, please go back and do that. But I'll quickly go through them because Tom came up from his study of the rich and the poor, the fact that rich people live within their means, they spend less than they earn and they invest, they don't gamble, they read every day, but they read success books and history books. He came up with a concept of wealthy people, rich people don't waste a lot of time watching television or surfing the internet, watching reality shows, but they educate themselves. The fifth habit we discussed was that wealthy people, rich people have learned to control their emotions as opposed to the poorer people tend not to. Rich people regularly volunteer, they regularly network, and they give back to the community. Rich people, successful people go above and beyond in their work and their business. That's one of the reasons that they are rich. They set goals, they know the difference between goals and wishes, they avoid procrastination, and they talk less than they listen. They've learned to listen with their ears and listen to what other people are saying. Tom, that's a whole lot of rich habits. Can you do them all? Can we actually change to only do rich habits?
Well, I would tell you, the listeners, don't even try. Pick two habits that you don't have, two rich habits that you don't have, and spend 6 months trying to forge them. It's impossible. I had a friend of mine, Michael, who called me up. He was kind of in despair, and he said, I've been doing this for 3 months, your rich habits, and I've only been able to accomplish 40% of them on average every day. And I said, boy, that's about 20% more than me.
That's amazing, isn't it? That's a great result.
It is. I thought that was amazing. But he was upset. He thought he had to do all of these rich habits. And I said, I've only been doing out of the, I have a lot of rich habits, but the 10 rich habits in my rich habits book, I said, I've been doing maybe 2 or 3 a day, if I'm lucky, on a good day.
So I think it's important to have realistic expectations and realistic goals, and it's a journey as opposed to a quick fix. So let's add the last couple of rich habits, please, Tom. There are a lot more, and a lot more we discuss in our book, Rich Habits, Poor Habits. But having said that, one of the ones I'd like to discuss now is the concept of successful and rich people avoid toxic people. That's a big one.
It is a big one. And I get a lot of commentary on this because people say, well, I have some family members and some of my best friends are toxic. Now that I understand what toxic means, because, we've been talking about it and now they have a better understanding, and they identify some of their friends and family as toxic. And I said, yeah, you're probably 30-40% of the toxic people in your life are your friends and your family. The others are people at work. So I always tell them, look, you know what, you're never going to get rid of your family and your long-term friends. But you can reduce how much time you spend with them. You don't have to spend an enormous amount of time with toxic people who are your family and your friends. You could cut it back, so that would be the objective. If toxic people, they have this, negative impact on your life. They usually pop up in times when they have financial struggles or they need to get bailed out of jail, or you have to drive them to a clinic or any number of things. And trust me, I've done all of those three things for some of my family members. So, you know, you're not going to get around these toxic people, getting them out of your life, but minimize how much time you spend with them, and they'll minimize the influence they have over you.
It's the old story about that you're going to be like the 5 people you're closest with and spend the most time. So one way of moving up the financial ladder, becoming more successful, is to hang around other successful people. Now, that doesn't mean you've got to disenfranchise all your family, but I think you put it well, Tom, where you said just spend less time with them. You're not going to drag them up to where you are today, but you can lead by example, can't you?
That's right. And one last thought on this. Your habits spread like a virus through your social networks. So the less time you spend with toxic people, the less influence their bad habits are going to have on you.
Right. Now, another rich habit, one that we're both very aware of, is the concept of never giving up, of persistence.
Yeah, this one I love. I actually think persistence is the most important success trait. It's right up there with dream setting. The people, if you look at all of the millionaires and all of the billionaires, they all have one thing in common. They were at some point on the balls of their you know what, and they were really in dire straits, and they fought through it, and they survived. They were persistent. In a recent article I wrote about Steve Jobs. I wrote about Elon Musk. He was on the verge of bankruptcy. Both of those guys were really losing everything, and they turned it around. So the thing about persistence is you have to persist in order to succeed, because through that persistence is learning. You overcome obstacles. You figure out what to do, what not to do. And by the way, the longer you persist, the luckier you get. Good luck eventually finds you.
So I guess 3 of the very common traits of successful people is focus. They know where they're heading. They're persistent. They don't give up. But the other one, Tom, is that they're also patient, because they recognize that they're not going to become wealthy quickly.
Yeah, listen, this whole thing about success, it's not overnight. It's not instant gratification. The average self-made millionaires in my study who pursued some dream that they were passionate about, it took them 12 years to become rich. I've been at this rich habit stuff since 2004. It's a long time to be persisting at something. And I really believe that if you persist, ultimately, whether it's 12 years or 20 years or 30 years, you're going to succeed, because you're going to figure out what to do.
Another habit of the rich people is that they recognize that they've got some self-limiting beliefs, and they put them aside, those self-limiting beliefs that are going to hold them back.
Yeah, here's another instance where awareness is important. We aren't even aware of most of the beliefs that we have. I wasn't aware until I did my Rich Habits research that I hated rich people. And I always was under the impression that rich people were greedy, they smoked cigars, and they were basically, the worst type of human beings. So when I did my research, I found out my belief was wrong, that rich people are actually the cream of the crop. So you have certain beliefs that you're not even aware of. That's the key. You got to become aware of them, whether it's thinking that you hate rich people, or if thinking that it's impossible to get rich, or believing that it's impossible for you to lose weight or to become strong and healthy, or it's impossible for you to, get a college degree or get a CPA or CFA or whatever it is. Those are all limiting beliefs.
Sure. Another rich habit is not trying to do it on your own, but getting a mentor. You've got mentors, I've got mentors in various elements of your life. I know the thing that took my investing and my success and my business to the next level is when I realized I didn't have to do it on my own, but I could actually stand on the shoulders of my mentors and look further. I know that with my mentors, I have transformational conversations. They look after my back. They see my blind spots. I still today pay over $100,000 a year for business coaching, and I see that as an investment not as an expense. It's helped me build the national business that I've got, Tom.
Yeah, well, the thing I like about this topic is from my research, you know, I said that it takes the average self-made millionaire about 32 years to become wealthy, to accumulate $3.2 million. That was my number. Well, with the self-made millionaires who found a mentor in life, they actually cut that time period down to a third. And here's what's really cool. The average wealth of the self-made millionaires who found a mentor in life, not only did they cut the time by a third, down to a third, they made twice as much money. They had $7.4 million on average in net worth. So finding a mentor is the shortcut, the fast track to wealth building, and it also is the greatest way to accumulate the most wealth.
That clearly makes a huge difference, Tom. Having said that, if you find a mentor and you change your headspace, you don't develop rich habits, you don't get rid of some of your poor habits, that on its own won't work. So it's got to be in conjunction with a lot of these other things that we're discussing. And one of them that you mentioned, Tom, is eliminating the word bad luck from your vocabulary.
Yeah, I guess this could fall under the category of limiting belief, but it's also a mindset where you just believe that becoming wealthy requires some random good luck. A lot of poor people in my study believed that. The rich people don't believe really in random good luck or random bad luck as being the way people get wealthy or become poor. They believe that you have to create your own luck. I call it opportunity luck. And this opportunity luck is the byproduct of having good habits, of pursuing things that you're passionate about, of being persistent. So, you know, this idea that you have to, you know, in order to be rich, you have to be lucky. Well, I think that poor people have that misnomer. It's just a wrong thinking.
Now, Tom, there's one last habit I'd like to discuss in this series that we've just gone through. And while it's the last one on your list, Tom, in some ways it's one of the most important ones, and it's the concept of knowing your main purpose.
This and persistence are the two top things. You know, when you pursue a dream, it reveals your main purpose in life, your calling. Now, when I pursued Rich Habits and I started the study, and then I ultimately became an author, and I found that, damn, I'm a pretty good author. I've gotten awards for my books. I had no idea I was a good writer. Had no idea, Michael. But I pursued a dream, and it revealed my main purpose in life. And I think, so I came up with this exercise that allows any individual to find their main purpose in life. And by the way, why would you want to find your main purpose in life? Because number one, you're going to make the most money doing the thing that you love, because you're going to devote the most amount of time to it. You're going to never want to stop doing it. And when you wake up in the morning, you're going to jump out of bed because you can't wait to start getting involved with your main purpose. But so what I'd like everybody to do is to take out a piece of paper and write down all of the things in your life that you could ever recall that made you happy in life. And then on the next column, I want you to grade it from 1 to 10 and say 10 being the highest. What made you the happiest? And on the next column, I want you to identify 1 to 10. I want you to identify what type of skill is involved. And then I want you to 1 to 10 grade how much money that potential skill you can earn. And then you add these things up, and it'll lead you to finding your main purpose in life.
Fantastic, Tom. Over the last 3 sessions, we've actually spent a lot of time talking about the differences between the rich and the poor. And some of these are simple. And interestingly, some of these discussions we've had are intuitive. But I don't therefore want people to underplay the significance of them. Sure, it would be fantastic to be able to take up all of these 16 habits, but that won't happen overnight. It won't happen instantly. So step 1 is recognizing, being aware of your habits, understanding the fact that there are habits, and that a lot of what you're doing is unconscious, subconscious programming that occurred to you when you were very young in life. And while it may have made sense then when you were didn't have the understanding that you have now, and you were probably taught by parents that were very well-meaning, but probably poor. So you were taught poor habits from poor people, despite them being well-meaning. Today, those habits, those things that you were taught then are not relevant in your life anymore. So number one, be aware of them. Number two, remove the poor habits. And number three, start replacing them with rich habits. Boy, we covered a lot in the last couple of sessions, Tom. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think what we covered will help transform people's lives. And I want to highlight what you said is just pick one habit. Don't go overboard. Pick one, maybe two if you're really ambitious. And just stick with it for 6 months. And, you'll be surprised what happens.
Sure. If you want to find out more about this, in Tom and my book, Rich Habits, Poor Habits, you're going to get all the information plus a lot more to help transform your life. You can get it at richhabitspoorhabits.com. You can buy the Kindle version on Amazon, or you can get a hard copy book posted to you wherever you are in the world. So go to richhabitspoorhabits.com. And if you got some benefit from this session and Tom and my regular weekly sessions, please pass it forward through Facebook, through Twitter, through YouTube, however you're getting this, or just pass the link on from our blog to somebody else, because one of the rich habits is actually helping other people become rich, isn't it, Tom?
It is. It's, sharing these rich habits with other people is part of mentoring. And when you help other people succeed down the road, they remember you.
Fantastic. So thank you once again, Tom. I look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Sounds good, Michael. Thanks.